reacting to the Daredevil Born Again teaser. It's gonna premiere March 4th. So March 4th, Daredevil is back. My favorite Daredevil comics have to be definitely the Brian Michael Bendis run is a great run. It has fantastic art, right? The Brian Michael Bendis run was drawn by Alex Maleev, and the art in those issues is incredible. I love Alex Maleev's art. I have a mixed opinion. I have a mixed reaction. The Daredevil show never got the suspense, right? And it never got as good as the comic book. I always felt like on the Daredevil show, everyone had to be human. They couldn't mention the Avengers, and it wasn't enough for them to say, oh, Daredevil, now we know Daredevil's in the universe. But then they mixed him up with She-Hulk, right? And I like the way that Ben Affleck played Daredevil more than this actor. He's basically I wish they would bring Ben Affleck back, because Ben Affleck plays Matt Murdock a lot better. Okay? I don't really like the guy who's playing him right now. And when they threw the pitch for this Daredevil show, it was by the director of Cabin in the Woods, Drew Goddard. And I don't think Drew Goddard is involved in this new series. I think it was like the side people on the Netflix show. And I think the quality on the Netflix show went down. And, on Defenders was unwatchable. That's how bad it was. So Drew Goddard was the guy who wrote Cabin in the Woods. So you can't just say, oh, your stuff doesn't work, we don't need you, we have all these other writers. So the guy who made the idea, really, for the series on Netflix, he wasn't included in this new Disney Plus series. Because everybody has to be Bob Iger's friend, right? And I don't think these woke writers are able to capture, for example, the characters and the stories from Garth Ennis' Punisher. One of the things that was missing out of the Punisher show on Netflix, and even out of the Daredevil show, was the villains. You're supposed to be watching the show for the villains, right? So you're watching the show for Kingpin. But I mean, the writing on the Daredevil show never got as good as something like even Law and Order, which isn't even that good of a show. But you watch one episode of Law and Order, they have a story that's told from beginning to end. And on Daredevil, it's not like that. They don't have like an episode where you see something resolved in one episode. There's storylines that take longer than they should. And something that I noticed about these Netflix Marvel Knights shows, especially the Punisher show, but the Punisher show was good. You know, I actually like the Punisher show, but uh is that when you're reading the comic, you can't stop reading the comic, right? But when you're watching these Netflix Marvel shows, they get boring. All right? So now Disney Plus owns it. And I was watching the trailer, and did you notice in the trailer they don't show Punisher with one gun? They show him holding a hatchet, but they don't show Punisher holding one gun in the trailer. And I'm like, whoa, what a missed opportunity. Punisher is such a major character, you know, that a lot of the trailers should be giving us information not only about Daredevil but about Punisher. And I want to also talk about the most cringe moment. Okay, the most cringe moment of the trailer. And I can't even believe it. Okay? Is when Kingpin, right? When Kingpin and Daredevil, okay, are sitting in the restaurant talking, that was so cringe. Like their conversation, oh, I actually like it that you're here. No, Daredevil can't stand, Kingpin can't stand Matt Murdock. This is not a bromance. They're trying to make it look like, oh, that this is a bromance between Matt Murdock and Kingpin. This is not a bromance. My biggest disappointment, to be honest with you, look, this is them teaming up when they're in prison. This is Kingpin right here. This is the Ed Brubaker run. Yeah, so they have. I guess they're gonna try to team them up, but there was years in the comics where Kingpin hated Matt Murdock, and I feel like not even in the Netflix shows have we gotten like a cinematic level, seen Kingpin at his cinematic level. Like in the beginning of the Spider-Man PS4 game, you're fighting Kingpin. He's running through walls. He's shooting lasers at you. He had done business dealings with Hammerhead. You know, these are characters they need to introduce. The Owl and Hammerhead. And I know they need to really introduce the comic book versions of them, because they had some guy who was like the Owl in the first couple seasons, but no, these people need to embrace the comic book side of some of these roles. And look, even Bullseye is trapped in the prison with them. So, this video, look, I'm picky, okay? I have read, I think the best Daredevil comics, if you had to go and read the comics, I would say read the Brian Michael Bendis, Alex Mayleaf comic book run. And that goes into this comic book run, the Ed Brubaker run. And they're both great. Kevin Smith did write like a couple of Daredevil comics, but they're not as good as the Brian Michael Bendis and um Alex Neelev. That's like the Daredevil. And then the Frank Miller comics were also really good. The Frank Miller Daredevil comics were also really good. And um there's also another series by Joe Quesada, who is my favorite editor of Marvel, is actually Joe Quesada, but they had made this comic book, Daredevil Father. And I just love the art here of Daredevil. The art is great. Am I gonna watch this show? Yes. I'm gonna watch Daredevil Born Again. But it's not, I'm not expecting it to have the characters that, like, for example, you have the Punisher on the show. I'm not expecting them to get the characters or the violence that the comic books had of the Punisher, because the Garth Ennis Punisher comics, alright, are so violent, so politically incorrect and hilarious. And that's something that we never got in the they didn't get these politically incorrect characters and villains right. Like Bullseye, they make him a psycho, but there's something about Bullseye that there should be some dark comedy involved. Some sarcasm involved. And there is like sarcasm, there is comedy even in the violence in the Punisher comics. And that's what makes Garth Ennis a great writer, is he's not only giving you Punisher's the hero and they're the villain. He's showing you how fucked up the villains are and how they massively fail at trying to get the Punisher. All in all, is if you can pick up an omnibus of the Garth Ennis Max Punisher on Amazon, it's not that expensive, this omnibus. It was like $30. But if you can pick up this omnibus, it's the complete collection, Punisher Max Volume 1. It's still in print. And it brings also the Bourne miniseries, which is probably one of the best Punisher comic, one of the best Marvel comics, is the Born, this comic book, it came out at the same time as that comic book Origin, which told the origin of Wolverine. Well, this is Born, the origin of Frank Castle. And it's a war comic all about Vietnam. And it's just great. This is the Punisher's real origin, but it's a great comic book. And before the Punisher Max series, Garth Ennis wrote another Punisher series that was based in the Marvel Universe with the rest of the superheroes. And that was the Punisher Marvel Knights series. And this one had Steve Dillon doing the art. And this series was also a great series. The one with Steve Dillon and there's a great issue that has Spider-Man, Daredevil, Punisher. Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Wolverine going after the Punisher. Daredevil, Spider-Man, and Wolverine decide we need to get rid of the Punisher because he is too much trouble. And when they go and hunt him down, the Punisher is ahead of them every step of the way. The Punisher is ahead of them every step of the way. It's hilarious. So that's one thing, is that the shows never captured the greatness of these characters. I think the Punisher actor is a great Punisher actor, and they need to have Garth Ennis involved. You can't have the writers of the Miss Marvel series, right? Because this is my worry. The same people behind Miss Marvel are the people writing Daredevil Born Again. So you can't have the same writers as Miss Marvel, or you can't have these woke writers, right, trying to write a character like the Punisher. It just does not work. And especially with the villains like Kingpin, Kingpin, something that I don't like is, I really like how Michael Clark Duncan played Kingpin in the movie. And I really like the actor who plays Kingpin, but he's a great actor, but why do they make Kingpin so emotional? Kingpin's not supposed to be so emotional. He's supposed to be almost like Doctor Doom. like he knows the next step of the plan. He knows the next step of what he's going to do. So what are my reactions after seeing this Daredevil Born Again trailer? It was kind of cringe, to be honest. It was kind of cringe after reading the comics and then just watching the trailer. It was kind of cringe. And there was like Spider-Man is supposed to make an appearance or something in one of the episodes. And are we going to get that Daredevil Spider-Man team up that I first saw in the Spider-Man animated series? Are we going to get that? And then the other thing too is I don't think they're going to do Punisher justice. After watching this trailer, do you really think they're going to do Punisher justice? Let me open up this comic book. Do you really think that you're going to see something like this? The Punisher in a room with his guns. Just this cover. Do you think you're going to see that image right there? You know, that's my whole problem. And when I found out that Sana Amanat, the creator of Miss Marvel, was a writer on the show, I'm like, whoa. Where's Garth Ennis? You know, where's Ed Brubaker? They need to be involved in writing some of these episodes and everything. They need to be involved. All right? So that's my opinion on it. And I heard also behind the scenes that Marvel thinks their biggest failure in the last few years, this is what Marvel thinks, right? And I totally disagree. They think their biggest failure is Moon Knight. Oh my God. Oh, and here's my other thing. Where is Echo? Where is Echo? You know, I loved the Echo series. I thought that was one of the few exceptions of the latest Marvel stuff that was actually good. I saw that from beginning to end. I love Echo. And you know which one I love is my favorite is Moon Knight. But could you believe that Marvel thinks one of their biggest failures recently is Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight? Can you believe that? Those are my favorites. Those are my favorites. I'm just letting Marvel know is that some of my favorites you know, I don't think Moon Knight was a failure. I love Moon Knight, all right? And Werewolf by Night, I love Werewolf by Night. So, those are the characters that I want to see Daredevil cross over with. I have no interest, zero interest in seeing an episode of Daredevil crossing over with Kamala Khan and her characters. I have zero interest, okay? Stick to the 80s comics, stick to Joe Quesada era. Get woke, go broke.